Like and subscribe in the next 5 seconds, or this will be in your bed tonight. What's something that you've done while horny and you regret it? Drove 1,200 miles. At least you didn't walk 500 miles. If the sex was good, I bet they'd walk 500 more. Asked my wife if she was interested in us getting a butt plug. She gave me a confused look and said, if you're into it, sure. And then after purchasing realized that we both had different ideas on who it was for. Edit. Whoa, I've never had a post get this much attention. So, this is one of the most mortifying things to ever happen to me. To anyone who didn't see my reply, I was intending the butt plug to be for her, because we'd done some light butt play before. But when I asked about it, she thought I wanted to use it. It's buried in a closet somewhere, still in its packaging. To this day I'm still too embarrassed to bring it up. And needless to say, she's not very interested in a butt plug. The worst part is, I picked out like a medium size, and thinking back, she was like, oh, okay, go big or go home I guess. Babe, thanks for the awards y'all. We both had different ideas on who it was for. So did you get a second one or just share? I hope they got a matching his and hers set. When I was about 12-13, I had just learned about sex. One day I was super horny and was playing with my dad's back massager. I quickly realized that it felt really good to press it on my D. I took it into my bedroom and went to town. My mom was walking by and heard the noise, so she just let herself in. Needless to say, things were weird after that for a bit, and she hid the massager. $10 says it was your mom's sex toy. Same thing happened to me. I'm a girl. Dad's back massager. Stole it. Later as an adult realized it had to have been my mom's vibrator. Awkward. Edit. Thanks for the helpful and wholesome awards. I remembered a detail you might like. We had an old well in our backyard. It didn't work, it was just a concrete circle covered by something. I was about 12 when this happened. I started feeling really guilty about it. I had issues. So I decided that I would drop the massager into the well so I could no longer have access to it. Sometimes I wonder if my mom ever questioned where it went, and what she would think if she knew her 12 years old daughter stole it, used it, then dropped it down a well. When I was a stupid teen, I put an ice cube in my vagina. My reasoning was that if hot water felt nice, maybe something extremely cold would. It did not feel nice. It was horrible, and I couldn't remove it. 3 minutes of agony. Me too. I heard on the internet that ice cubes were good, so I tried it. It was horrible. I didn't even feel anything. It just hurt, and cold water just kept coming. And they don't stop coming. Using shampoo to jerk off. Worst piss pain ever. Just use conditioner. So much better. Body wash. So you can use the excuse of giving yourself a deep clean. Also, it's better than shampoo or conditioner. I was edging for 3 hours. Had the idea that tying my D with a shoelace would hold everything together for at least another hour. It held on for 2 and nutted so hard I felt some pain on my abdomen and legs. Took me an extra hour to sleep, and the next day my whole body was fatigued. Thought I twisted my testicle or some shit. I recovered after around 48 hours. Edit. Thank you for the awards. Also, for context, I live alone and life got stuck in limbo when the pandemic ramped up. I edged from 8 PM to sometime past 1 AM. I had no regard for health, which explains my lack of hydration. So no, it wasn't drugs. I was just an idiot. I probably still am. No, it was never a good idea in the first place. That was sort of the point. Yes, it was the best nut of my life. I loved how scientific the ending was. That's the post-nut clarity intelligence boost. In my early teen years, I accidentally made my clit burn using Vicks VapoRub that was supposed to give it a tingling sensation. I watched way too much BDSM and got ideas. I was in immense pain and was lying spread out under cold water to try and make it stop. And I couldn't tell my extremely religious parents or they would have freaked out. Girl, same. She lies in the bath with the burning below a blazing that's barely impaired by the flow. They said it would tingle, they said it would twitch. There's no way they said it would hurt like a BCH. But here, in her pain and her sadness and shame awash with the water, vagina aflames her under asunder, with no way to fix. She whispers with woe and with misery. Vicks. Me and my friend were supposed to take a visiting foreign professor for drinks. After a couple of beers the guy told us that he wanted to see some women. We took him to a softcore strip club. After the first beer the guy said that he wanted something more extreme. Prostitution is legal in my country and we took the guy to probably the largest bar with sex workers of our city. It was a bizarre place and after a few minutes our reputable visiting academic sealed the deal with the lady. The guy went with the lady to her room and came back after about 15 minutes. Suddenly the guy said that he was tired and wanted to head back to his hotel. On the ride back, the guy started weeping and telling us about his family and giving us advice about why we should love and respect our partners. I had never seen so much post-nut regret in my life. Sad guy. Maybe confessing his post-nut regret is his kink. Not my story, but my old bandmates. So here we have a horny teenager. He was maybe 16 at the time and he just came out as gay this year. He had been experimenting and we were bros so he would always overshare these experiences. Well, one day he tells me he had made a huge mistake. He really wanted to know what something bigger than his fingers felt like, and he had heard of people using cucumbers as dildos. That said, he only had pickles at home. He did not however account for the vinegar and spices. I don't know the pain he felt, but I do know he regretted it immediately. Edit. This is the most upvoted thing I've ever had on I. For what it's worth, he played bass. Thanks guys. That is not the direction I thought that was going. Oh no. Asked her escort to come over to my house at 2 AM instead of jerking off like you're no for free. Well, she and 3 other guys ended up kicking in my door and robbing me and my house. 0/10 never again. Edit. Holy shit, thank you for the awards. This is my most popular comment by far. I appreciate you all. I'm just a innocent 22 yo, but come on dude. Hotel room. Honestly, I couldn't afford both, lol. My roommates were out for the night and I figured fuck it. What could go wrong? Almost got a bar of soap stuck in my booty hole. Edit. Wow, thanks for the awards guys. I can't believe my first comment to blow up is about the time I became a human soap dispenser. How? I was in the shower and thought I bet sticking soap in my ass would feel good. So I did it assuming it would be easy to squeeze out because soap is slippery. Boy was I wrong. After a few minutes of panicking and pushing I managed to get it out. Like imagine asking your parents to take you to the hospital cause you got a bar of soap stuck in your ass. Got jizz in my ear. Ended up with an ear infection. Try explaining to a doctor what the foreign liquid is in your ear when you're 15. Hey guys, thank you for the awards and upvotes. For clarification, this happened in 1987 and was purely accidental. And that is how you get hearing aids. Oral sex. Tried to suck my own D while taking a bath while with hips up. Surprise surprise, tubs are slippery and I ended up with my neck caught under my arm as I did a back roll and landed on my side. Involuntarily gasped in pain and began to choke on water. Almost drowned in my own fucking bathtub. My neck also hurt like hell for a week. Edit. No Jesus fuck. Why didn't I post this on a throwaway? Thanks for the awards. Gonna drown my sorrows in karma. Could have been worse. Could have came into your own mouth and then have to deal with that within the instant post-nut clarity. Sex with my ex. The same day I moved out. We had broken up earlier, but it took a couple of months before I managed to find a place to move all my stuff. Afterwards, I just laid there and hugged her hard. Didn't want to let go. Just laid there in a cuddly mess for half an hour, covered in sweat and other bodily fluids, but most of all, tears. I don't know why the fuck I did that to myself. It was supposed to make us both feel better and relieve stress, but it was just torture. I should have just left much earlier, preferably when she wasn't at home. That sounds rough. I hope things worked out well for you both. It has been 5 years now, have had a few brief relations since, one of which I still have intense emotions for, but I sometimes still miss her, miss what we had, and what we fantasized about for the future. It doesn't happen often, but it has happened that I've woken up in the morning and just briefly recalled her scent before I opened my eyes, and just for a fleeting second been back with her in my mind. I'm thankful for the time we had. Life goes on, and I hope she has found what she was looking for. Deep heat. Let me tell you now, ladies and gents, It is not a warming sensation on your most sensitive parts. Post application I immediately ran to the bathroom with the remnants of my smoldering member in my hand. Was telling my GF at the time on the telephone later that day. My dad must have overheard. Next time I was hosting a few friends, he walked into my room and said something along the lines of, "Fellas, you be careful on your application of deep heat," and walked out. Edit. It is awesome how much this has blown up and some of the responses are hilarious. Thank you for the awards. I did remember another story involving my father and my budding sexuality. I was all but about 12 years old when I discovered various British newspapers had revealing pictures on page 3. This was a time before the internet. Anyway, one evening my father was going to grab some groceries from our local shop and I'd asked if I could go with him to pick up some newspapers for a school project. He obliged and took me to the shop. And to this day I don't know how he kept a straight face as I went through about 10 different publications, looking for the goods, discarding the papers that were too proper to have pictures in and keeping the ones that did. Finally, I had my selection. We went through the till and the sales assistant made a comment. My father, without skipping a beat, just said he's grabbing them for the sports section. Oh no, I like it. Only those who will risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go. Was at bar, ran into the hot girl from high school. She was still hot. We hit it off, had fun for the night, gave her a ride home. I was super horny and thought this was gonna be amazing. She did not invite me inside, so I just went home sad but still horny. So proceeded to pull on the old cum dispenser. Had a great time, felt way better. As I was cleaning up, she calls me and wants me to come over because she is lonely. I think, hey, I might still have some spunk left in my junk. I head over, we start getting frisky and I cannot make the soldiers stand to attention. She crying thinking it's her fault. I tell her what happened and we try again, still can't get it to wake up. Between the alcohol and my balls empty, he was just a limp noodle. She asked me to leave and felt like a pile of shit. Never did hear from her again. Damn. This is too fucking real. This has inspired me to institute a policy where I just don't jerk it for a full 12 hours after having a hot moment with someone. Hooked up with a co-worker who looked like Mr. Bean. She was a girl. Did you flick the bean? Capital W. Using the twin percussion handheld back massager on my DNGL, it felt really fucking good, but it left a lingering tender feeling that had me walking funny for a bit. Happened when I was but a wee mid-teen. I thought I was the only crazy bastard that did this. You know those silicone ass things they have in sex shops for like $300? When I was in Montreal in my sophomore year of college, I tried to buy one. My debit card got declined, so I didn't buy it. I got a call from my dad that evening saying someone in Montreal must have stole it from me, and I had to do the talk of shame explaining that I really did do that. My dude, I'd have agreed and cancelled my card. NGL. I was dumb enough to believe a porn site when it said it wouldn't charge my card, but just needed it for verification. Definitely told my mom it was 10,000% fraudulent and we should cancel my card right now. Her name was Annie, and she stalked me for 2 years after that. This Annie doesn't seem much okay to me. You rang? IDK. Anytime I go on a porn binge and have post-nut clarity on some bizarre as shit. Edit. When you go online drunk, then you wake up the next day to have seen it blow up. Thanks guys. Been there many a time, brother. You mean step brother? Not me, but a friend. He drove to another city to lose his virginity. He was up all night with the girl, so he fell asleep on the ride home. Totaled his car. He told his parents he was staying at my house overnight, so it was awkward conversation when he had to call his parents to explain why he totaled his car about 100 miles from home. Edit. He actually did get laid. He said it wasn't worth it. For those reading, there is no shame in pulling over to get a nap in. Never understood why people risk it. I had to do it on a 12-hour road trip. About hour 8 I was feeling tired, where I was having to force my eyes to stay open. Pulled over to a rest stop. Parked near the back, texted my parents that I was going to be running a few hours late, and took a 2-hour long nap. Fucked my landlord. He lived in the same building on the floor below me with his ex-fiancée. It was actually pretty fun until he started monitoring when I was home and knocking on my door when he knew I was home alone. Had to put an end to that real quick. My only regret is not getting a discount on rent. I've seen this one. This is like 50% off porn these days. Enthusiastically went home with a guy who said he had a dog. He had two. Found out from a friend the next time he had just gotten out of jail for homicide. I don't understand the relevance of the dog. They're the bait. 5 years ago, boss recruited someone new and introduced them via a WhatsApp group before we met them. New recruit and I started chatting in WhatsApp before we ever met and I took it too far too fast. Went to meet him that night. I was deeply not attracted to him. And his home was horror story dirty and cluttered. I accepted his week offer for alcohol and got drunk really fast to avoid facing reality. I felt too bad for him to leave but I knew the alcohol would help me. Help him. The sex ended up being one of the best I ever had to date, but he is such a gross person. Hygiene and personality. I regret everything about the way it happened. Same year. Swimming in self-hatred. I also fucked the boss of that job. 2 regrets for the price of 1. You're welcome. Jesus. In today's time, you are a walking lawsuit for businesses. If OP is a lawyer, she could be a walking lawsuit walking in a lawsuit. I came on to my best female friend. We'd flirted back and forth for years so I didn't see the harm in asking. I was super blunt about my interest and she laughed the whole thing off. We talked less and less after that and now I haven't spoken to her in 2 years. I regret fucking up the best friendship I've ever had to try to get my D wet. It was so fucking stupid of me. From someone with experience and that kind of issue from the other side. She probably was afraid you were only pretending to be her friend to get in get pants. You'll be amazed at how many men fake friendships with women so they can circle her like a predator, waiting for her to be emotionally vulnerable enough to strike. When I announced my divorce on Facebook, a lot of my guy friends started aggressively hitting on me through PMs and a couple even sent D-pics. It was a pretty awful and dehumanizing feeling. It's exhausting and it hurts when someone you thought had your back does this. So I could see why it made your friendship awkward and distant from her perspective. Even if your feelings were sincere, I think if you reached out and explained to her that her friendship is more important than sex, that you want to be her friend even if the two of her never hook up ever, she might understand. Maybe even talk about other women you're interested in now so she knows you're not still carrying a torch and trying to get back into emotional circle. I never will understand D-pic guy. Jacked off in the shower while laying down in the tub. Shower water raining down from above. It was very nice and ended nicely. Later that day, I went to take a shit. Shit wouldn't come out, and I felt an odd tugging sensation between my ass cheeks. Thought I was dying and started freaking out while I tried to pinch my shit off to investigate. Turns out my jizz had found its way into my ass cheeks while laying down in the tub, mingled with all my ass hair, and solidified into a gelatinous plaster. Upon shitting, the hair was so fucked together that my cheeks couldn't separate for the shit to emerge. Felt like that Play-Doh hair salon toy. I ended up having such a massacre of shit come on my ass and hands that I had to get back in the shower just to clean off. Edit. Apparently this officially counts as a self-creepy. This deserves to be higher. Jesus Christ LMAO. Meticulously cleaned my entire parents' house while I still lived with them. Took hours to shave every from hair off of my body, and lost weight to fit into an overpriced lingerie set. This guy I was talking to said he was going to come over and rock my world, literally the day of, as I was sitting there on my bed massaging my legs with lotion to stop the burning from using Nia. He calls me, drunk as shit, to gloat about how he met this girl that let him put it in her butt. They were still going at it while he was talking to me on speakerphone. I just hung up and cried from frustration. They dated for 3 weeks before they broke up because he stole money from her, so I guess I dodged a bullet, so there's that at least LMAO. I was 17 and stupid. Edit. Holy shizballs. I did not expect so many updates from a dumb story from my stupid teenage charades and shenanigans. Thank you and happy holidays guys. You dodged a big bullet. I was 22 and left a bar with a 42-year-old cougar. If that was the bulk of the detail, then no big deal. But when we got back to her place, her maybe 15-year-old son was playing Call of Duty in the living room. Tiny apartment. I probably should have noped out at that point. About 15 minutes later he went to bed, and about 30 minutes later his mom and I were banging on the couch. We did all sorts of stuff and I'm still ashamed. The next morning we went out to her car, and her battery was dead. She left her headlights on. Yeah, she drove us drunk. The night before, she was going to be my ride home. At this point I am excruciatingly hungover, and my phone has the thinnest little red line of battery life. I text a buddy telling him where I am and to please come pick me up with my car. Phone dies. I'm looking at this lady, wondering WTF I'm doing with my life. And I guess the best idea we had was get a margarita at this shitty Americanized Mexican food joint. It was 10 AM. I sat there in the outside dining area with this woman, smoking a cigarette and staring into my slushy shame, wondering how many times her poor kid has seen her mom bring home some random college dude. We finished the margaritas and left the restaurant. As I walked out into the parking lot, now warming in the late morning sun, hangover getting ready to destroy me, I see my car pull into the lot with my buddy behind the wheel, with a shit-eating grin on his face. I hugged the lady, thanked her, with no exchange of numbers, and nope, like I should have 9 hours earlier. Edit. Glad my regret has brought some of you joy. To clarify, nothing wrong with getting the love on with someone older than you if both parties are legal and consenting. The main issue here is that I still cringe at the thought of what that woman's son must have heard through the thin walls of the apartment. Hopefully he had headphones in. Edit 2. Holy shit, my mom would not be proud. Should have told the kid you're from one of his COD matches. Big bro 69. I told you I'd fuck your mom as he leaves. Liked a guy, went on a date, found out his roommate was actually his live-in girlfriend, agreed to become a throuple and forced myself to woo her in order to keep dating him. During the throuple talk, he outright told her he wouldn't date her if he couldn't also date me. She agreed as long as they could be official on Facebook, while I waited to earn my place. After a few months of being what they playfully referred to as the gamma in the relationship, and treated with constant disrespect, but rewarded with attention from the man of my dreams. LOL. They broke up with me at a Chinese buffet, jointly. Edit for additional context. I never ended up having more than a 3-way maquillette session with the throuple as a whole because she wasn't comfortable with that. He constantly begged for it, and every time he and I would get alone and start getting busy, usually when she was at work, she would get suspicious and keep texting us to ensure there were no lapses in communication, aka intimacy. The irony of the situation was that I didn't want to date her but ended up going down on fingering her in hopes that it would keep things going. I was more intimate with the partner I didn't want than the one I was bearing all of this for. God, I cringe. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe for more interviews.